Hello and welcome back to FD, where today we bring you our second 11 of players who overcame rejection to become world-class footballers. Goalkeeper, Dino Zoff. The man with the greatest name in football, Italian Dino Zoff, was given trials at Inter Milan and Juventus at the tender age of 14. Though agile and clever, Zoff was under 5 foot tall, and the super clubs understandably worried that he would never be big enough for top-flight football. Both rejected him. Fast forward 5 years and the keeper had grown over a foot. According to Zoff, it was thanks to his grandmother feeding him 8 eggs a day. Local club Udinese signed Zoff, but despite excellent performances, he didn't receive an international call-up until he was 26, when he had moved to Napoli. That year he won the Euros with Italy, and finally at 30 years old, he got the move he had wanted all along, joining Juventus. He won 6 Scudetti with the Bianconeri, completing 11 seasons in Serie A without missing a single game. He made over 100 appearances for the national team and captained the Azzurri to the World Cup in 1982, at the age of 40. Well, thank God his grandma gave him those eggs. Defender, Michael Essien. Okay, it's a stretch to pop him in here, but Michael Essien was able to play at right back and centre back, doing so for Chelsea and Real Madrid during a trophy-laden career. Primarily an outstanding all-round midfielder, Essien joined the Blues in 2005, eventually winning 9 pieces of silverware, including the Champions League, with the club. But it could have been very different. Essien had gone on trial at Man United in 1999, after coming third with Ghana at the Under-17 World Cup. He impressed Alex Ferguson, but without a European passport, the manager couldn't secure a work permit for the player, and decided to move on to other targets. Essien went to France with Bastia before winning his first 2 titles with Lyon and then making the £24 million move to Stamford Bridge. He served the West London side for nearly a decade. Defender, Felipe Luis. 10 years ago, Felipe Luis went by his full name, Felipe Luis Kazmierski, and was playing as an attacking midfielder. In that position, he attracted interest from Ajax, who bought him from Figueirense, hoping that training alongside Van der Vaart and Schneider would turn him into a star. They gave up after just a year, but Felipe Luis unexpectedly went to Real Madrid. Now a left-back, he was sent out with the club's B team, playing in the Segunda Division and earning a permanent move to Deportivo La Coruña, who incredibly paid under €2 million for the Brazilian. Atletico paid 6 times that amount just 2 years later, and under Diego Simeone he won La Liga, reached 2 European finals and even made his way into the Brazilian national setup despite stiff competition from Marcelo and Alexandro. Defender, Luke Shaw. A boyhood Chelsea fan, Luke Shaw was given the chance to audition for a place in the Blues Academy as a youth player, but like Antoine Griezmann at Lyon, he was considered too small. Not that surprising given that he was 8 years old at the time. In the following 10 years, Shaw grew to 6'1", and as a Southampton player he made the Premier League team of the season when he was just 18. Now Chelsea wanted him and offered £20 million for his services, before Louis van Gaal blew them out of the water with a colossal £30 million fee, making Shaw the most expensive teenager in football history. Sadly, Shaw has made just 32 league appearances in the 3 years since, missing 91 matches thanks to 7 major injuries. Let's hope to see him return to form soon. Midfielder, Thomas Hitzlsperger. Born and raised in Munich, Thomas Hitzlsperger joined Bayern at just 7 years old, spending over a decade learning his trade with Die Roten. However, he was never given a shot at the first team, and left for Aston Villa at 18. In 2001, while Bayern were winning the Champions League, Hitzlsperger was on loan at Chesterfield, making it hard to believe that the Bavarians would ever regret losing him. But the midfielder eventually joined the national team and Stuttgart, who he helped to a first title in 15 years in 2007. That season, Bayern finished 4th, 10 points behind the champions. Hitzlsperger won over 50 caps for his country, and when he retired in 2013, he broke new ground for the game, publicly revealing he was gay. He remains the most famous male player to do so. Midfielder, Luis Aragonés. One of the most influential figures in Spanish football history, Luis Aragonés joined Real Madrid at 20 years old, but never made an appearance for the club. He was loaned out 3 times, but showed his class as a goal-scoring midfielder, and at 26 was snapped up by Atletico Madrid, giving him a second shot at the big time. Aragones became a club legend. He averaged around a goal every 2 games for the Rocky Blancos, won La Liga 3 times, and when he retired, he managed the club. Under his stewardship, they won the title again, and Aragones would go on to have 4 spells in charge at the Vicente Calderón, coaching the Colchoneros to 7 trophies. He also managed Barcelona, Sevilla, Valencia and the Spanish national team, earning credit for promoting technical players and popularising the famous tiki-taka style. With Aragones at the helm, Spain won Euro 2008, their first international silverware since 1964, and the foundations were laid for success at World Cup 2010 and Euro 2012. Aragones died in 2014, and he was honoured as a national hero in Madrid. Midfielder Michel Platini. Until Zinedine Zidane came along, Michel Platini was arguably France's greatest ever player. The attacking midfielder won Euro 84, the European Cup, 3 titles and 3 consecutive Ballons d'Or between 1983 and 1985. The only player other than Lionel Messi to achieve that feat. But as a youngster, Platini was no superstar. He was invited to try out for Metz when he was just 16, but missed the trial with an injury. When the club changed manager, he was given another chance, but this time Platini passed out during a routine oxygen test. The club doctor advised against signing him, and the midfielder joined Nancy's reserves instead, where he scored 127 goals in 7 seasons. Platini actually hit more than 20 goals in the league on 5 separate occasions. That's truly remarkable for a midfielder and puts Frank Lampard to shame. Not only that, but it gives him an even better goals-to-game ratio than Didier Drogba and Robin van Persie. Midfielder Kenny Dalglish. As a youth player, Kenny Dalglish was actually used as a goalkeeper, because the natural place for somebody who's 5'8" is obviously between the sticks. But once he'd been swapped into the front line, the 15-year-old went on trial at West Ham. Every big club in the UK was after the forward's signature in 1966, and he was so young that he had to have a first-team player drive him to and from the training ground, a 19-year-old Harry Redknapp. The Scot was so impressive in training that Redknapp described watching him as fast-forwarding through the next 20 years of British football. But the club felt they wouldn't be able to get him over Celtic, and bowed out of the race. As a lifelong Rangers fan, Dalglish may well have preferred a move to London, but he became a hoops icon, and remains among the club's top 10 goalscorers. 10 league wins and 3 European Cups on, West Ham are probably still regretting their inaction. Forward, Mario Balotelli. It's easy to forget now he's nearly 27, but Mario Balotelli had limitless potential as a youngster. At 16, he was playing in Serie C with Lumezzani, and after just 2 appearances, he was invited to La Masia, Barcelona's famed academy. Balo played 1 trial game and scored 5 goals, playing alongside a young Thiago Alcantara. The head of Barca's youth development, José Ramón Aleixanco, was keen to sign the Italian, but Super Mario's agent got involved, complicating the deal and eventually putting Barca off the transfer. Mario joined Inter and won 3 titles and a Champions League by the time he was 20. But maybe if he'd been educated at Barca, he'd now be the player he once promised to be, a world-class centre-forward. Forward, Alan Shearer. No player defined Newcastle United like Alan Shearer, but the Magpies rejected their most famous son when he was 15. Originally, Shearer played in midfield because he wanted to be at the heart of the action, and tried out for Man City, West Brom and Newcastle before signing with Southampton. Saints moved Shearer upfield, and after 2 years he was good enough for the top flight. But while he was promising, no one expected the explosion that would come when he joined Blackburn at 22. Shearer scored more than 30 league goals 3 seasons in a row, leaving with a rate of 0.8 goals per game, better than Henry at Arsenal and Van Nistelrooy at Man United. He ended up turning down Ferguson's United to return to Newcastle, becoming the most expensive player in football history at £15 million. He remains the Premier League's all-time top scorer, more than 60 goals ahead of second-placed Wayne Rooney. Forward, Romelu Lukaku. Picked up from Anderlecht at 18, Chelsea beat Arsenal to the signature of Romelu Lukaku, paying £17 million just to sit the forward on their bench. Lukaku played just 10 times for the Blues in 3 years, spending loan periods at West Brom and Everton and outscoring every Chelsea player in those years. At 21, Lukaku wanted to play and decided to leave the club for guaranteed first-team football, with Jose Mourinho claiming the striker wasn't willing to compete for a place at Stamford Bridge. He joined the Toffees permanently for what now looks like a bargain at £28 million, and his numbers took off, with 20 in all competitions in his first year, 25 in his second, and 26 in his third. Having shafted Chelsea once by selling Lukaku in the first place, Mourinho did it all again, paying £75 million to beat his old club to his old player. Looks like it all ended well for Lukaku, and of course his agent, Mino Raiola.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that. As usual, let us know what you thought in the comments below. And if you've liked that, why not check out the video that's on screen right now? Click it, it's a good one. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.